Second.
Alfonso,
Yes.
Member Ramsey. Yes. Member O'Brien. Yes. Mayor Sandega.
Yes. Okay, the next item is public comments. Does anybody have anything they would like to bring up that is not on the agenda? We are putting item on the agenda, which is three meetings for a planned unit development for two mixed use buildings in 2024 Chestnut Road and one at 2066. Which are the applicants for. And anybody that's going to speak to the group is also in. Where you all in this thing, but.
Why don't you come on up, Chris, please? Lori, just in case, and Donald, you should probably swear it. Chris.
Okay, we'll start with you, sir.
And it's my name. And hello,
Name, address, and where you.
my name is Drew Mitchell, and my address is 1 Walker, Suite 300, Clarendon Hills. It's my work address. Would you like my home address? Okay, thank you. Claire. Okay, thank you.
Michael O'Connor, I'm with Holiday Properties. My office address is 6370 Ameriplex Drive in Portage, Indiana, 46368.
Don Tomei with Holiday Properties. My address is 1 Walker Ave, Suite 300, Clarendon Hills, Illinois.
My name is Lori Capel with Holiday Properties. Work address is 1 Walker Avenue, Suite 300, Clarendon Hills.
Christopher Walsh, Tandem Architecture, 1040 West Huron, Chicago.
What was your first name?
Christopher Walsh.
Okay, if y'all want to raise your right hand and swear the testimony you're going to take is going to be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. So you are planning on developments in downtown. One of them at 2024 Chestnut, which would be adjacent to the village hall. And the other one is at 2066 Bridge Road, which is a corner of Norton Park.
That's correct.
What would you like to have in person?
You guys you can have a seat. Mike, maybe just hang out here with me. Good evening, Plan Commission. My name is Drew Mitchell. As I introduced myself, I'm a partner with Holiday Properties. We're really excited to be here today. This follows an RFP process that the village issued, seeking qualified developers and qualified ideas to develop these sites in town. This, following the action of the village board, we commenced a plan commission process entitled site. Typically, we would come in with an application and without having any sort of pre-meeting, and that's not always how it's done. In this particular case, we were eager to get a chance to get an audience with the plan commission before submitting the formal application. The point of that would be to collect feedback and to make sure that we're on the right track. And ultimately, we found that when we have pre-meetings and we're meeting community in advance, we get feedback that actually improves the project. So, Mike, you think I covered that correctly?
Yeah, one thing I would add is we took great notice of the master plan done for the downtown. It's a document dated 2024. Became aware of this about the same time we became aware of the RFP. And so our goal here is to fulfill the vision of in that master plan as it relates to these two sites and just in general support the intent of all the work that went into preparing that document. So I'm assuming Plan Commission had a great deal to do with that, and we'd like to learn more about it and see if you agree with what our concept here is. Does it meet the intent? And do you have suggestions? These plans are conceptual that we submitted, that we showed to the village board as part of the RFP process. It's not full detail that we're going to provide with our Plan Commission application. There's a long list of required documents, other consultants get involved. And we're gonna prepare all that, but we wanted to hear from you first at the front end. Then we'll go to work on that and submit a complete application. I'm sure it'll get reviewed by the village staff and before it comes to you, and then we'll be back before you at some point in the future.
Provided some pictures of what you're planning. Can you explain to me? Building that we're looking at now.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, Chris, you want to come up here? Chris Walsh is with Tandem Architecture. They're award-winning architects. He's designed several of the buildings here that are just facing the commission at this time. But these are representative projects. On the left are renderings. On the right are the actual projects that are delivered and been involved in all four of them. Yes, or three, the three on the bottom.
I've worked with Holiday for many years. We've done a lot of TOD projects. Part of the reason that we're asked to be part of this, the original RFP, but done a lot of different ones, and Drew will go into more of the history as he goes through. But as you know, two very different sites. The site on Chestnut, which you'll see up there right now, is kind of offered us a better opportunity to get more sites. Both buildings are 5 stories, which is really kind of where you want to be in these types of TOD downtown. You get you the right amount of density. They allow for enough parking to serve that. If you get a little bit higher, parking will cost. So this building actually that you see up on the screen, we've got 2 levels of parking. We've got some retail here. I know
The parking is accessible off of the alley, right?
Yeah, the parking is accessible.
One goes up, one goes down.
Right. So double layer, which is something that we typically do in each building. It's a U shape. So on the second floor, there is an amenity area that all the residents can enjoy, but they're up above the street level. We've also, as part of the process going through, we actually created a large plaza to the south for the city that wasn't there in our original design, but after feedback, we actually created a plaza, added trees to the sites. Again, there's a small retail, and we have a lobby. As we get to know you a little bit more, we'll show you, some of the lobbies that we've done in the past, which are really more like hotel lobbies. And Holiday they staff their buildings, so it is continually staffed.
It's important. I mean, we have a minimum unit count that we require in order to have on-site management. And just to delineate between a building that has somebody there and can do a tour or accept a package delivery, there's a certain amount of density that's required in order to have economies of scale. So these buildings are staffed. It allows us to have an engineer on site to keep the hallways clean, to keep the building running. The first floor of these projects is absolutely the most precious space. It's how you get your cars in and out of the building. It's how you get packages and deliveries and restaurant deliveries. It's all coming in the first floor. Anybody walking in and out of the building, it's first floor. Our move outs are happening on the first floor. And so, but what we don't want is just a big block, a big rectangle, or maximize our rentable square footage or something like that. We want this to be a building that we can celebrate for 100 years. One of the ways that we do that as developers and architects and builders is the letters, the E's and the C's and the T's and the U's. This is a U. It allows us to maximize the amount of light that's getting in. It also allows us to introduce really cool amenity that helps us to activate from the street the actual liveliness of the building. We have people out there, we have chessboards on some of them, or we have gas features that create really great visual. Lori's put in water fountains that have a little ambient water noise to them. There's great care and attention that's put into this experience that occurs here on the second floor. And it's also visible. You can see people to some degree because it's just elevated a little bit. Part of what Chris is trying to accomplish is this word of activation. We want the building to feel alive all of the time. So he achieves this by putting our office on, and the office managers and the folks that work here on the perimeter. We've got retail on the perimeter. And so these are some of the things that, yes, for example, imagine people running on the treadmill in the window when the train's going by. That's what we try to achieve in these projects, and we've been very successful at that by being judicious about where to locate this amenity. These are pretty well amenitized buildings. Every unit has every unit has a washer dryer. We've been using Moen and Kohler plumbing fixtures, like the ones that extend to the sink. You know, a lot of developers are putting in certain exhaust fans in places. You know, I mean, we're doing all of this. We're running fiber optic all the way to the unit. We're introducing excessive EV vehicle charging because we know that that's the way the world is going. We're getting very nice elevators, like Phone A elevators that you don't sit in for 12 minutes just to go up 3 or 4 floors. Our closets are semi-custom and built out because a lot of what we see, the people end up living here could never imagine that they would rent again. They're renters by choice, but they love the community and want to stay here. And it unlocks their ability to sell their home, stay in the community, and move downtown where they still have friends and walk to restaurants. That's what's happened. And it's been a surprise, a pleasant surprise in community after community, because a lot of times what happens is we show up and it's like, this is a tall building. This is a lot of traffic. This is a lot of density. You know, is this the makeup of what we want in our downtown? And we're not trying to force anything. What we're trying to do, really, to Mike O'Connor's point, is be responsive. Be responsive to the comp plan. Be responsive to the plan that the community produces. It's just, this is what we'd like on these sites. And so that informed our conceptual responses, our conceptual rendering responses to the village board. And we're being a little clumsy here today because we haven't met you all yet, and we didn't build up who we are and give you all of our background. We didn't know exactly how to come in here, but this is our first chance to share with you our early visions and our conceptual visions of what we're hoping to achieve on this site. And I skipped off here a little bit. Sorry. Bring us back.
I'll just bring you back to the kind of the stats, which is probably more what you're interested in. This is 118 units. We have a parking ratio of about almost 1.2, which is really where you want to be in these kind of parking situations. We found some additional parking along Chestnut that we're hoping, you know, can get incorporated in some diagonal parking.
Just more thoughtful use of right away and how it's striped and how it engages with the site.
Which came up in our other, you know, working with the board that was going to be a concern. The second building, if you want to jump to that, this is 28 units.
Yes.
And we again have almost a 1.2 parking on this one. This is a little bit more challenging because of how the site is shaped. We've got a few indoor parking spaces here, but this is larger units on this. We just feel this is again, partly because of the parking, but feel like this is probably more the play for the larger units. And this one, obviously, they're all still evolving. This is our first shot at these, but a lot more retail on this corner. Which
Can I add to this project? Well, first time we looked at it, there's an easement across the back of the property at that driveway. There's the double drive aisle. There's an easement to get to a parking area that serves the buildings next door to the east, which is right there where Noah's cursor is. we're thinking it might be beneficial to assemble a little more land. So we've started a conversation with the next door neighbors. There's actually two next door neighbors to the east. There's a next door neighbor to the north, Dan's Classic Cars.
You talk your Ridge Road or Chestnut?
This is Chestnut. I'm sorry, this
Ridge
is
Road.
Ridge Road. This is Ridge Road. This is this plan. So to the right, on the plan there, there's two buildings, that back up to that parking area that extends over. So we're talking to those two owners, and then to the north or up, above the parking right there, that's where Dan's Classic Cars is. We've started a conversation with Dan and about potentially acquiring his property. And so we're gonna study that and pursue that, see if there's an opportunity to assemble a little more land, just to create a little bit bigger canvas, a little more room to achieve some of the things that are. And we're at 28 units. Yeah, Dan's Classic Cars, he's got the auto repair, he's got a building there, then outdoor storage for cars. And he'd really like some more land and a bigger building. And so that he's we're engaged with a good conversation with him. And the neighbors to the east, we just met face to face today, earlier this afternoon, so we're starting that conversation with them. So we may be back with us when we come with a more complete application. We may be back with a little more land, a little bit bigger sites, but the concept's the same. Commercial on the ground floor, on-site parking, and resident.
So that definitely introduces the new wrinkle. I'm gonna come out and say, I want to be honest, but I have a fear that I'm gonna voice out loud, which is that we have two projects that ought to be considered independently of one another. And I fear we keep going back and forth as we go through this. I also fear, and this is in a spirit of openness and transparency, I am aware, and we are talking to neighbors, and that can create complications when this project isn't predicated on having to acquire additional land. And we're being careful about communicating that message that we need more land for this to work. We don't necessarily. What we think is that the pie could get bigger, that the outcome could be a greater whole. And so, thank you. And Noah and Angela, we should talk at some point about how to make sure one project doesn't necessarily hold up another. Excuse me. Thank you. I suppose we're still on the mic. What other questions?
Do you want, we had the amenity back up there. You want to describe that?
Yeah. Actually, Lori, would you mind coming up here and describing the elements of this amenity deck? Because I'm having trouble seeing it.
Okay, let's do this. Let's concentrate on Chestnut
Okay,
building first.
okay.
We'll go through our questions with that. Then we go to Ridge Road.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so our amenity deck shown up there is in our project at Lombard. It's called Lilac Station. It's about a 7,000 square foot amenity deck. It includes a water feature in the center. Provides nice white noise, multi-purpose turf. The residents are very engaged with our property management team. They always put on, I think it's like 2 to 3.
This is bocce, ball, bags, things like that.
Or the yoga that's shown above the guy throwing the bags. They have movie nights where they have a projector screen, fire pits, outdoor grilling, a bar area. So if people rent the clubhouse for events, their events could spill out onto the amenity deck and they could entertain there. Fire pits. Oh, could you scroll down a little bit? So we are very pet friendly. There's our dog run.
That's right here.
Yeah, so that's our dog run. We have a large chessboard incorporated into the pavers. And again, this is just one in Lombard. the programming for these decks vary by building location, but this is, we were just there actually 2 days ago, talking to the maintenance staff, and they actually have fish, koi fish in the fountain that they named, and he was feeding them, and he kept them alive all winter, and the residents just love it, so.
Thank you. Excellent job. I really appreciate that. So that would, what Lori just described isn't our project, but this is what, this would be akin to what we would be incorporating. And we're constantly learning. One of the neat amenities that we've been including in our building as of late are create rooms and playrooms, which are basically a place where, say, you're a grandfather and you used to have a workroom in your basement and your grandson wants to build his Pinewood Derby, but you live in an apartment, you can't do that anymore. Well, you can in our building because we have a workroom with a sander and a drill and all of the things that you would maybe have had at your house. And so we are trying to make this a really excellent landing place for people who want to stay in Homewood. But also it goes a long way towards attracting young professionals, the ones that are going into the city. And so there's these two kind of edges of your spectrum of your accommodations through life. It's typically the kind of recently out of high school or college or young professional is where we're seeing most of our demand. And then it's at the other end, the national. Right here, I want to stay here. They're the ones that get super excited about this product eventually. Because they get a lot of the things that they were able to have previously, but you're able to save actually a lot of money living in our buildings too. Because we have a fitness center. A lot of our residents are downsizing from 2 cars to 1. Electric vehicle car sharing in the building like Envoy. We've done it in every building. It's a Tesla that you can rent out. To save your second car to visit Aunt Sally once a month, well, maybe you can save $600 a month and get rid of your second car. And check out one of the Teslas in the garage. This is something we're committing to. We're going to do it here. The business center is another element, and we're just kind of picking up on amenities. So we're talking amenity deck, and I'm describing some of the other amenities that are in the building. Holiday has 25 hotels. In our portfolio, and we have brought that hospitality experience to our residential program. We own it at St. Mary's College, and are partnered 50-50 with the Sisters of the Holy Cross, the Nuns, and have been great partners with them for 40 plus years. But in that launch, that was our first hotel. And if you go there right now, there's a couple $1 million property improvement plan going on. We're updating all of the rooms, and this describes what kind of owner we are, that we're continuing to invest in our assets. But getting back to the hospitality experience, this hotel style lobby, if you go to one of our buildings, you'll know what I'm talking about. Gracious ceilings, steamed birch arches that are turning corners. We've got meeting rooms with people meeting in them that aren't paid to be there. Like there's people actually using this space. We have computers to print out boarding passes. People still do that. We have coffee station so that when you're going down, you can get a vanilla latte in the I'm not describing something that's fantasy. I'm describing the Homewood selected and the RFP that we're going to attempt to deliver here on the site. And so we just want to hear, eventually, are we on the track? What do we think about the colors? What do we think about the unit mix? What do we think about the interaction with the street? What do we think about the angled parking on Chestnut? So those are some of the things why we're so excited to be here, because we're unveiling something and we don't quite know how to ask for feedback yet, but that's kind of what we're attempting to do. I should probably let somebody else talk.
Really quick on the amenities. The first one up there is a wellness. They could do classes, and that's not, anything extra, that's like
How about all the communities, the butterflies, well, now, like the create room there, this picture on the right is right now, we're hooking up with a not-for-profit to create butterfly gardens throughout Glen Ellen. We're not doing this because it makes anybody any money. We're doing it because we like it. It feels good and it takes it back space and the community has to collaborate. And so at Christmas time, that same picture on the right, that's filled with wrapping paper and people usually have a Christmas wrapping station and it's adored by our residents. So these are what has caused our buildings become the top rated developments in the state, but down the road project. 1%. And so they're not going to use for direction. But we aren't forceful. We want feedback. We are patient. This is what you'll hear. We talked about the plan commissions where we presented in our construction. Itasca, Wooddale, Lombard, Glen Ellen, Westmont, Downers Grove. So, okay. How do we get back on track? And not just let me blather all night.
Oh, just echoing Angela, this is, I think we can turn it over to the commission. You mentioned you might want to start.
Yeah. Great, so time check. So we're gonna open it up, Rob, we'll see what kind of stuff.
But, lovely plan, so probably the fifth time I think a plan is proper. Really nice to be, nice to have you. Really look well. I hope this one. I know that there are people who are worried about losing park out here. And don't know how that's going to be addressed necessarily, but you'll probably be hearing from, well, when you have the community meetings, I'm sure that it's going to come. This amenity deck, what level is that?
2,
It's at 2,
yes.
but it's open air.
Yes.
So,
It opens all the way up and that gives us the band to introduce light to get in on that arms.
so that's how the rest of those units get outdoor access. The ones who are on that level next one, that don't have, that are not on the perimeter.
The units on the second floor would have direct access to it, but everyone above would look down onto it.
Not onto
Yeah.
that's how they get there.
Well, they have to go down.
And every unit has,
So there's a club room on that level as well, so they go into the club room and that's how they've been accessing.
Donald, would you walk up and show how you're walking in and out of the building? You access the second floor amenity deck through a common corridor.
Yeah, so that area.
But Chris is correct that we've learned, we made a mistake on this. We had units that were opening up to the terrace and there was no way for that person who had a dog to open a door to go to the dog run, which was right over there.
Right.
So, but then you're creating a security issue because if that gate swings and somebody can walk in the slider, there's all these things, when you peel something back, something else is breaking. But the way we will do the terrace units is they would have a balcony perimeter to create vertical consistency on the stacking, so it looks nice to the eyes. And then, but those units would be open onto the terrace with a gate that would swing open.
Well, Jack was having this train track, so anyone coming through home would be able to see it.
No, anyone from Flossmore is wondering why they didn't stop to get out for their house. That's really what we want to try to achieve. And I hope they hear it. Oh, okay. But great questions, and thank you on the part too.
yeah, and the retail, is quite small. Are you, do you have any intention of, no, I really can't expand it because you lose park.
Mike handles our commercial lease generally. These are, you probably have, would you like to share anything about?
Well, we are a block off of kind of the center of gravity of retail downtown. And so felt that a small convenience opportunity would be the right thing to do. So we don't, but last thing we want is space that can't be filled. And for this building density that we have, create patrons elsewhere in downtown. And these people will have disposable income, they'll be able to walk to everywhere else in downtown. Small convenience retail would be enough right here, and probably certain people going to the tall and just the area right here by the train. But an easy walk to go to patronize all the other businesses downtown. The Bridge Road building, we actually have a larger
Yeah.
space. And we'll talk about the Bridge Road building because we've got some ideas that as far as retail. That. That was the intent. That's why it's small.
We have retail at several of our TODs, and there's a couple of different, I mean, Mike's right, that it can be really hard space to lease. You see this in towns, there's a beautiful building, and it's all for rent on the first floor. And sometimes that happens because, well, there's a chase for sales tax, or there's different reasons. There's a gal named Linda Coonsey, ran downtown Downers Grove, the management corporation for like 2 decades. And when we did the top project, Burlington Station, she was insistent on not getting too much retail off of the main strip. That it creates this inadvertent problem of where am I shopping? And so the objective really was to try to introduce the density, or Mike said the disposable income. But then what happened in Downers Grove was really special. All the retail it became very in demand. And the same thing in Westmont, before we did Quincy Station, there was roughly 30 commercial vacancies in their downtown, and there's now maybe 3 or 4. So what I'm clumsily saying is that let's not overburden the project with retail, because the retail doesn't really want to be here, in my mind. But I do think the secondary site does need it. In fact, I think it's going to probably really define that building quite a bit. In this case, it wouldn't. Typical users are a coffee shop, MOTW Coffee, super highly rated coffee in Lombard. We've got complimentary coffee in Glen Ellen. We've got the Quincy Station in Westmont is Whiskey Hill Brewery and Kitchen, which is award-winning for craft barrel-aged beer. And they actually make beer in our building. They have a 4-vat or 3-cell operation. So there's a brewery, and it's really cool. But they're hard to make work. And so, yeah, what I'm really attempting to do is to give a flavor for a user that we still haven't identified, but we're gonna have to go find. And yeah, I want to keep jumping to the other side, and I'm really trying hard. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Seth.
Anything else? Yeah, comment. Retail doesn't be here. What did you reference?
We referenced my brain, and so this is perhaps a big, maybe.
So that it's away from the center of gravity where all the retail is, everything else is Bridge Road, Dixie Highway.
Yeah, typically in the TOD, type of situation, you want to have your retail area, and then as you get farther out, retail dies off and it becomes all residential. So it's concentrated retail. To Drew's point, then the retail stays rented at least, because when it gets too spread out, that's when you really start to get vacancies, and vacancies bring up vacancies. Just so again, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you. Yes.
Yep, I got a few. Good evening. My first question is going to be for staff, and then I'll redirect it to you. On Chestnut, we're still considering the one-way north. Or is that? Or are we east? Okay. And Harwood would be the north. I was gonna say it would have to be south because it's gonna conflict with what you just said for Elm. So you're basically gonna be, your traffic's gonna circle the building in a counterclockwise motion from this block. Okay. Settlers,
Just the, Elm goes to all the way back up something, very close to the, viaduct there. at parking, increase of the traffic flow. So they're probably.
So redirecting that question to you, design team, how, or your development team, how critical is that traffic flow to the project for that site? For this out there, that the traffic be going around in a counterclockwise one way?
It really shouldn't be an issue, whether you're going in, the real, entry and exit is along this, north-south parking lot as it is to go into the back of the building. We really anticipate a lot of the, traffic that would be at the front of the building would be people pulling up, pulling in, parking on the street. But mostly, yeah, walking and people that were already on the train that may need to run over, and if this is a coffee shop or something. Otherwise, residents of the building would be parking inside and walking into the lobby to their units.
And parking is gonna be first level only?
No, it's,
Two
there's
levels?
actually 2 levels. There's a ramp that, goes up and there's a ramp that goes down.
So we've got one subgrade.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just
works
about
that
7 feet below. We found that it's,
Okay.
yeah, that's. what
So
works the best.
how are we gonna handle then the parking? What would be the plan to handle resident parking versus village parking? Meaning this building and police, fire and village works and versus public parking, if any.
Right, so this is still the north or the east part of that parking lot out there. So all of this really would be still village parking, so all police, village and all that. And then, like I said, our plan was really to try to add, I think it's 9 spots on the diagonal in front of the building. Those would also be just public.
So no public access or no village access on the.
That would be up to the
exterior.
village, yeah, if the village wants to restrict this to just police and
No, I mean, in the footprint, in the parking in the structures.
not with any footprint right now,
Okay.
that's.
So that'll just serve residents. A Couple points to consider, just from experience of living next to the railroad. For you to consider. I live on the other side of the tracks. Just 3 houses off Dixie, so. One thing that you might want to consider when you do get design on board, soundproofing. Be surprised, this yard is active, it's active 24/7.
I'm excited to answer this one. I can't wait.
So we do,
Every one of those buildings. Same.
the soundproof, we do soundproof, windows,
That's
that
it.
face
And-
the train.
we're building the one in Wooddale, it's below the runway for O'Hare. It's really designed for pilots, stewardesses and people that work at O'Hare. It's, Mike, how many units? Oh, you can't talk. So the sound rating on those windows is the highest I think I've seen at 45, but we have, Mr. Basie, when we go in and we open the door and close it as part of our tour, and the trains going by and we celebrate how quiet our rooms are. The bigger issue we had on some of our earlier projects that are like the top one, Burlington Station was the first big one I did. And that's literally right next to the right of way, it's right next to the Metro right of way. The sound issue is between units, not from the outside. So we've since increased the ARDA and the sound insulation in our units. There's attenuation matting that we're putting in before our floors, so you can hear the high heels. And it's actually our #1 complaint in the apartment business is noise after Wi-Fi. So we put a lot of work into making sure, knowing we're right at a train station. I normally don't get this excited to answer a question, but we do lean into making sure we have very good.
Black
sound.
railroads.
Might want to do
We're on the Burlington, we're on the Union Pacific, and now we're at the Allegheny.
And you're on the USG US and you do the Northwest.
I'm building the CTA red line extension. So
Are you?
Sam.
Cool.
So you might want to do a sound and vibration study. That might help your designer to, foundation design on the building. There is an inordinate amount of vibration that radiates out from the train yard. Test to it, my house is over 100 years old. Basement has habitual issues. I know that's residential versus commercial construction, big difference, but still, it's there. Also, one thing you might want to consider, windows, access to clean. You'd be amazed, living right next to a train yard, the amount of soot that collects on the outside of the buildings, and the first place, obviously, you see it is windows. If I could afford to retrofit all my double hungs with tilt tins, I would.
Yeah.
Or lesson learned.
You clean and rotate.
Yeah.
Those are good ideas.
And then, anything you're doing to make your buildings, pet friendly and with the dog run and an access to the street. This, Homewood is a big dog centric community, so you're making the right moves there. Yeah.
We also put pet bags and poop containers outside of our building to help keep the streets clean. And also because we are super pet friendly. 1/3 or 36% of our units have pets, which is the highest we've ever seen. Drew, yes, sir. Oh, so the building will have.
I did, okay, I saw that.
Only ones that don't like this are pet smart. Takes them there and.
Yeah.
Wash your dog in our building, take a picture of your dog and the dog on the wall, but it's, and then often our property managers have a pet. And we let them bring them to work, and then we found that people who live in our buildings twice as long. You don't know if it's because of the dog they fell in love with in the
Probably.
office, but it's part of our DNA. Thank you.
That's all I have right now.
Okay, sir.
I have a few questions. It's a wonderful project. I think. As the. You got some data over. Clarity. The data overview have, 6 indoor parking spaces for handicap. But on the drawing, you have 7 handicap symbols.
Okay.
That's just one. I don't wanna dwell on.
Yeah.
this. I just wanna go down.
Understood. Go ahead.
I can't come to the count of 127 parking spaces because we don't have the. Well, we don't have the drawings.
You don't have the lower.
Below them.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay. For the total building square footage, what is revealed on the material that we received is only 4 floors. Fifth floor is not represented on the drawing, on the material. So you have 27,426.
That's the first floor. Mike, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Please finish your thought. We didn't mean to interrupt you, but respond.
You have a number in bold print, total building square footage. You have 4 floors. You have main floor, level 2, level 3, level 4. There should be a level 5 represented because the number of 145 that is on here is exactly 27,246 or because of the 5th floor.
Okay, I'll have to, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The total line says courtyard and parking, or building square footage, courtyard and parking. The courtyard is represented at 6520. But I don't see how that's represented 209,000. If you add the numbers up. If you add up the total parking for the area square footage, and then you add the total utility areas, garage, stair and elevator, and you add the leasing offices, the retail space, and then the 5 floors, the 6520 for the courtyard, correct me if I'm wrong, is not represented.
I don't think we can correct your math this quickly, sir.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
asking you to.
Yeah, that's
What
fine.
I'm going over something, I
Sure.
prefaced it by saying I'd
Sure.
like to go over these quickly. The reason being, we'll see you again. I do not want to waste time clarifying the statistics and data.
Sure.
In another meeting.
Yeah.
And delay the meeting and perhaps have another meeting. So this is less than,
Could we correct his understanding of the main floor quickly? Because I think that might help. I mean, right, Chris, you've got a main floor. What's happening is you've got a first floor that has minimal square footage on it. It goes to the plan. Look at, Mr. Johnson.
Right.
Right.
I'm sorry, sir. What's the calculation for the first floor square footage? On the sheet.
35,650.
So that's this first floor. It's the second or five. So I actually, before we admit we're totally wrong, I don't. Because the first floor has parking on it and just a little bit of finished square footage. And then the floors above,
With all due respect. All I want to do is point
Yeah.
these questions out.
Right.
I'm not asking you
No, I
to
know.
justify
I got it. I'm taking
you
notes. Yeah.
did say don't make a mistake again.
Pardon me?
You said don't make a data mistake. And this is a hard business. I mean, you said, please, sir, don't come in here and waste our time with erroneous calculations. We are not trying to waste anybody's time.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
No, I'll double check the numbers. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I have some questions.
Yeah.
That don't foot up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I got it.
and they're simple questions.
Sure. Yeah, I can
Go back to
easily
the
check
drawing
these.
board,
Yeah.
scan the sheet, plug in the numbers correctly, and come out with something different.
Right.
That's all. On the drawing, where on the right-hand side, that drawing.
Yeah.
It says 65 parking total. 33. The 65 parking would be for that particular.
That's for that food. Yeah,
Okay,
right.
I'm only coming with 63. If you take a look at that particular floor, and you take on the left-hand side, you have a single column.
It says 63 there, not 65.
I have 65.
So these are tandem parking spots. They're what? Tandem parking spots, so it's, something we could talk about, yeah, like as we get into this, but typically, not typically, but often we get those, but they're usually rented to the same unit. So two people would share parking spots that are nose to nose.
Just like a single alley driveway.
Right, so those are counted in the count.
Just to note that we are looking at a set of conceptual plans for conceptual presentations. Get lost in the weeds here.
Yeah, so these two.
Parking spaces are long boxes, open at one end, and are, right, and those two boxes are long boxes, they're in the open end. If you were to try and get into one of those parking spaces, you have 3, and then you have 2 of them with a car represented. How are you going to get out of that parking stall when you have 3 outside?
So they're double deep. So 2 people, you would pull in and then the person you are living with would pull in behind you. And you have to coordinate that they would back out. It's kind of like having a single lane driveway and you'd have 2 people, yeah.
The details.
Yeah. I did the count, at the time I got 65. I'm,
It's going to be shared.
yeah, we're counting those as 2 spots when they're 10.
Spots,
Yeah,
okay.
right. So that's where I'm getting 60.
I don't have any questions. My comment regards to question.
Oh, we would too. And that's why when there was a misunderstanding, because I believe our data and square footage table was reflected correctly. And you said you didn't want to waste anybody's time, and I thought, how are we wasting people's time? We're in here trying to show you our first attempt at this, and, so
Yeah, sorry.
I was reacting, sorry, I was reacting to the comment that we were wasting people's time, and it's certainly not our intent. And, but I can't promise that we won't make a mistake on a data table.
I don't want to.
Okay.
Let's move along.
Yeah.
All right, you're gonna have a total of 118, correct?
Correct, yeah,
Are they rental or for purchase?
rental. Yeah,
They're all
it's all rental.
You have 133 parking spaces, it says,
Yes,
and those are for tenants only.
correct, yeah.
The parking along the back, which would be right out the village store here,
Yeah, right. The
which would
parking,
go in front of the,
yeah,
and back to the police and fire departments.
correct, yeah.
How many spaces do you have there?
I don't know if I have a count on those. I can circle back, but they're, you know, at the time we were doing this, we were really just concentrating on our side. I can- yeah.
Where are the police cars in the park person?
Well, again, as far as we're concerned, this is the public lot. And it would be all dedicated to you and, you know, to the village, and the village can assign it to all the police people or make it public or whatever they do. I assume it would stay or become police, fire, parking. We didn't get that far in the,
We wouldn't
yeah,
control it. It's not-
yeah, we wouldn't control it, but yeah,
Would we have any public parking?
Chair, so there's a couple of things, so that is, they're correct, that it's something that'll have to be worked out as we're working on the final agreements for the property, we do final site plan review, all of them will be factored in. The village controls all of that, so, police and fire have expressed a desire to have secure parking, especially for our police cruisers or police vehicles that are parked there right now. We would have to keep some of the spaces on the bottom of this drawing that you're screening right now for short-term parking, because those are our ADA spaces, it's short-term spaces that are required for us to keep for Village Hall. There's about 6 that we would need to keep right here, so that you could say gate it off, you can do different things, work with them based on where their final access point is for the garages, how police and fire wants to get in and out. All of that's being worked on with the village and up with their project. So just wanted to mention that that's going to change quite a bit, depending on the village's needs and their site plan.
Okay, you have angled parking here on Chestnut.
correct. Proposed, yeah.
Proposed. All right, now is, that gonna be coming to fruition? Parking on Chestnut right out,
So that kind of plays an angle.
angled park,
That's something we talked about with the one ways. Right now, that shows it if we stay in the two-way configuration. For the one way, you could say reverse those spaces, look at the best way to figure parking to maximize parking out there. Because that's really our goal, is to maximize the parking that we have available for visitors on the street around here. And so the, we have to look at that, but it is something that we responsible for what, how would it describe, what's the best number of spaces.
or Chestnut could conceivably from one way street.
It could, the traffic study that looked at the impact of the rate and parking. Recommended.
One way. All the way. Parking.
Going south. To Ridge Road. Cause you would want that in front of the other building that we're not discussing. Cause if you've got retail in front on that first level on that building, you're gonna want that angle parking there as well.
Parking within your building.
At this time. If we can find more parking. Get above the 1.2. Again, it's stage right now, we're saying got enough of the building.
Hey, you've got other projects, what's your average?
1.2. This is right, it's right on point.
Typical census is that homeownership within a half a mile of the train station from one car per household. What we've experienced in our buildings is that with 80% of our clients, a third have no car, a third have one car, and a third have two cars. Balance 1%. That works out to 1.1. There's something terrible that happened. Built these very expensive buildings. You don't have an apartment. Don't lease your last 4 units, which is what gets you over your mortgage to allow you to cover your bills. So there's a lot of checks and balances that occur on this from your market study consultants, then it shows up on our traffic studies, and then our lenders start to say, how are you parking? Because they've gotten burned on projects. So our experience has been about 1.16 to 1.2 is the sweet spot. And we manage that. We manage that with the Envoy Tesla that we incorporated in the building. Add a second one if we need to. And actually, I would propose we consider putting one of the Teslas in the public parking area and make it available to the public for other people who may not have a car. It's essentially a SIM card that's on them. So, but at 1.2 to 1 is how we're building these within 2 to 3 blocks of a train. If you get 4 blocks away, it starts to get about 1.3, 1.43.
The other advantage. Decisions. Have parking space, separate from the decision. Parking. So second space, they're paying. Second space. Now, like, oh, well, I'm space available, I'm just gonna bring my second car. Now, it's. Having options, take the train, options. Or bike, Envoy car, or bike, walk. That vision. Big. Extra. And when you unlock these behavioral things, like I can get on a train and travel, what we see is sometimes they move in with 2 cars and it's not for 3 or 4 months. We haven't driven the second car like since we moved in. This really happens. We can discourage consumption of the second parking space by increasing cost just a little bit. But the last part of this is really embracing our proximity to the transit node, which is why we're trying to create this great interaction with pedestrians and allowing them to get in and out of the building. But also we have bicycle studios in each of our buildings where we have a Darrow bike system. It has every tool you would need to work on your bike. And so we have a lot of bicyclists in our building. And so that we devote space actually to that part of transit, that takes away actually a parking spot or 2. I'm sure it did here, but.
Okay, if I rent a 2-bedroom apartment, do I get a parking space or is that extra?
It's your choice. It's extra if you'd like it. So it's not force fed. You do not need to take a parking spot, sir, unless you want it, which is, I think, what you were asking. Do I make you take a parking space?
So it doesn't come with.
It's separate.
Okay.
It's no rent.
Yeah, your rent is lower if you don't have. Fair to say,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, Chair, if we could, we've got a couple members of the public that I know have some questions about the project or maybe interested to speak about it. Since we're just getting to 8 o'clock here, is there a chance that we could maybe pause and just have open an opportunity for them, just to make sure that, they have an opportunity to speak here a little bit later?
Yeah, we can do that. We won't get to we may not get to the Ridge Road building, but
Yeah, you know, what is, have another meeting, I know you're planning to build that property a little bit later,
Yeah.
so that might be something we revisit.
Come back for sure, we're visit free, folks.
right.
Or just highlight briefly what's different about that structure then. Yep. Features are different, but I would support, yeah, let's get some public comments going.
Okay.
Good question.
I'm gonna turn the boards the other way then. Give public comments also. Great, as well. So.
All right, we're gonna open it up to the audience. Anybody have a question? And ask you to raise your hand, stand. State your name and address for the record. And if you wanna come up close so that we can hear you or stay where you're at, it's up to you. But who would like to start? Come on, don't be bashful. Okay, the young lady with the blue shirt.
I really enjoy hearing, from more details about what you are offering this, because, some of that did not be at the village board, and, this is quite nice to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nobody else has any other questions?
Sorry, but I just wanted to make sure that, anybody wanted to speak, just because.
The lady in the pink sweater all the way in the back. Do you have a question?
I'll leave those places.
How about the lady a little bit, 2 rows in front of you with the pink sweater? No? Okay,
Can't make people ask questions.
all right, nobody else has any other questions? Well,
Yeah, and, welcome to, you can ask questions, we do have a number of other cases on the agenda tonight, so we can always, if you have additional questions, we can also forward them to the applicant to be reviewed. Okay, I mean, there's additional opportunities, they'll be back in front of you, probably here in the next couple months to present a formal.
Okay. to give the other petitioners a chance.
Yeah.
We continue the Ridge Road building for another meeting. Okay. You guys will be fine with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Comments, ready? I guess I have one, regarding the fact that you guys are the owners of both of these projects, right? So,
Not today, but we were the, I suppose, the successful respondents on both projects.
would you, be allowing, the people who are in the Chestnut, let's see, no, the other one, Harwood. Ridge Road building, use the amenities of the Chestnut? building?
Yes, that's part of our plan. And actually, you'll notice that doesn't have an on-site manager there, or you may notice. We really view these buildings as coupling together. And one of the things we're exploring is, could we introduce a neat amenity in the Ridge Road building that would be attractive to the Chestnut? We don't just want people on Ridge Roads thinking, oh, let's go work out at Chestnut.
Right.
And we would expect them to walk, not drive.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Thank you.
So
So-
mandatory.
So if you expand and get the next door property, that would be even more likely to happen.
That would increase
That would
its
allow you-
likelihood. Yeah, I would say yes. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, the next case is going to be case number 2602. A variance for bulk and dimensional standards at 17863 Gulfview. The applicant is Stephen Scott. Yes, sir. And Mr. Scott is here. Legal notice was published in the February 11th edition of the Daily South Sound. And also in the March 25th edition of the Daily South Sound. And residents within 250 feet had been notified. Have we heard from any of the close by residents?
No, I received one call from a resident who just asked about the variance, but had no questions or comments. If interested in what it was.
Okay, Mr. Scott, would you like to state your name and address record, please?
Sure. I'm Stephen Scott. My home address is 8540 South Colon Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. The property that I'm here in reference to is at 17863 Caulfield Avenue.
Okay, would you raise your right hand and swear the testimony you're gonna give would be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I did.
So you've got. Will you tell us what you're doing?
Okay.
You have a lot of information in. Can I have it? Makes it you can have it. Thank you.
Violations. And so we're attempting
Or go further. Are you comfortable with the word ones? Or if you want to place them? They have to give you that up.
Yeah. I'm just teasing.
You know.
Well, I mean, if I don't get all you guys agreement. I'll tell you that, then what you see in front of you as far as the site plan is presented, it's not something that just have to has. What's it wrong with lots? Okay, so what we're proposing to do is to build a single family. What? Two stories, you don't have interior accessory. Second floor, I think some people call it generational suite. The concept is my family, the mother-in-law, blah, 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 but so we need space. Just also, my sister also, who's handicapped. So that was one of the challenges too, I'll talk about in my last relevant here, as far as how the property is laid out, constructed. The challenges with this property is that we wanted to make sure that we were in compliance with the setbacks, front setback, the rear setback, and side setback. Right? In an attempt to do that, and also didn't have the space that we needed, property would not allow for us, for instance, have a front-facing garage, right? Because we are in the R1 zoning area. The property is non-conforming to our area. It is it's about 2,300 square feet small, and it's about 20 feet narrow as far as the width is. And based on the ordinance, you have to have 8 feet, on this side 16 feet. The garage can't be wider than the house, blah, blah, blah. There's no way to have a garage sitting on the front. The other reason why that's a challenge, I'll go from the property line, and then in the southeast corner there, there's a fire hydrant sitting there. That's the reason why the driveway kind of jagged the way it is. I think in the document refers to it as driveway kind of being hammered, right? Yeah. There's berms in the rear that we can't build in, so we have to have 10 feet to the rear. So it really became a challenge. When there's structure inside. Love the property. Welcome. Here, it's a 1,500 square foot property. Because we have the dwelling, primary dwelling and also the accessory dwelling will require to have 3 off-street parking spaces. That is on the requirement. We really need to have an interior space there. Well, if my sister arrives home, I pull her out, undercover, that sort of thing. But we also want to have parking space for me, one. Cars. Needed to share space for just yard equipment, snow blowers and things like that, especially since we have this big driveway. The city engineer said that the driveway needs to be 10 feet wide. That's why the driveway is as wide as it is. We set the detached garage back as far as was allowable, but we needed enough space to have a turnaround stage. From front of the garage to the rear of the house, we needed to have at least 22 feet. We're at about 21.5 feet. So we're just making it there. What else can I say? Right now, we understand that the thing we're trying to mitigate as far as access for this additional building coverage area and the surfaces is just drainage system. So my engineers are in the process right now of developing a plan to ensure that all the water drains to the east of the property. There's a berm there that allows the water to drain to the south, which that's where the golf course is. And also it's going to drain to the west to the Gulf View Street because there's an inlet right there. And so we're going to control the drainage of the water. We're also going to be using wall barrels and things like that. They're working on that drainage plan right now. We're hoping that with this approval of the variance, we understand that it'll probably be approved conditional that that drainage system is in place. So I said all that, I think I didn't state the 2 variances we're requesting is one is for building coverage area, then the second one is for impervious surfaces.
And by the way, if we get rains like we had the last weekend, Thursday and Friday, I don't care how big of a berm you put up. There you go.
Well, trust me, I understand. I get it. I just want to also say one thing to ensure you all that we are not asking for anything that we just don't need. We squeeze the house, the structure, we squeeze the concrete, all of it, get it to fit in this space.
You didn't provide us with a picture of what the house has been doing.
I only got the site plans and.
Right.
I don't think I had an elevation. The house itself.
Right. So at this point, the elevations are not done. The floor plans are done, but the actual elevations are not completed yet.
Okay, there's a site date, there's a data table of the house height, like that, but
Right.
it didn't have the, you don't have design on that.
No.
I think the show.
No, I do not.
Okay. Member O'Brien, we're going to start with you.
Good evening.
I have to compliment you for a couple of things. One, taking on a project this size and considering homework for your project. You're understanding and detail, I appreciate it. And you have this budget.
Well, a enormous amount of money too.
That too. Somewhere in here. It mentioned two projects.
Right.
One attached, one detached. On the drawing that I saw, I only saw the detached. Where is the attached?
He's showing it up.
I think it's right
It's
here.
right.
So where that dash line is separated, it's right here.
Okay, it's not, okay, I
And the reason why it's attached portion, again, is trying to have coverage primarily from a sister as she comes in and out. But also, so we wouldn't be in the back, the rear yard area. That we could be in compliance with the 40 feet needed for the rear yard area.
The internal accessory dwelling, is on the second floor.
It is.
How many square feet?
It's 500 and like 520 square feet.
520.
I think that number is in there too.
Page 33. Are numbers.
Right.
I wonder if you could clarify. The principal structure is 1,554 square feet.
Right, so that would be this piece right here. That would just be the primary house, so. Just that's just the footprint, that's not including upstairs.
Okay, we're talking apples and oranges. I'm
I'm sorry.
looking at some data over here. The reason I was asking the question is to come up to a grand total. Total impervious area, 4,258 square feet. What it covers.
The impervious area, the 4,000 would be the single family dwelling,
The principal structure is 1,554, right?
right? You add that, what would not be included in that though is the accessory dwelling, because it's upstairs.
Okay,
So you would not include that number in there. The attached garage is in there, the garage detached would be in that number, and the
okay.
driveway. So what's not included there is
The
is the,
dwelling.
yeah, the dwelling, then the number should come out.
That may be it, just quickly go through. That's for the moment. Okay. Any other questions?
Good evening. Yeah, ambitious project to be sure. To be honest with you, I don't really have any, questions because I think the fact that you're coming up with an engineered plan for drainage here kind of mitigates the concern of the coverage issue. So you kind of, you're adding to a problem, but I think your engineered plan is gonna improve the problem. So then mitigate the problem you create, if not enhance or improve what the land there is actually doing. Just as, and I know the village engineer will be looking out for your neighbors and to make sure you don't run into any hardships with the golf course property behind. So I think really without that engineered plan, there's really not too many questions that so I'm good.
I agree that, as long as you're taking care of the drainage and, looks like you put a lot of thought and work into this and, I don't have any other issues with it.
Yes, I must agree with a lot of time and effort into trying to get a house on that lot. With all the restrictions you're facing. I never wanted. Question becomes. Okay. You.
Thank you.
Anybody in the audience have a question pertaining to this case? All right, are we then ready to, entertain a motion?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll go ahead. I'd like to make a motion to approve case 26-02 variance for bulk and dimensional standards at 17863 Gulfview Avenue to permit the construction of a single-family dwelling residence which exceeds the maximum building coverage and impervious surface coverage requirements which apply to the property, subject to the following condition. Condition 1, the applicant shall provide a copy of flow diagrams or other grading and drainage plans as requested by the village engineer to demonstrate drainage from the rear 15 feet of the property. Drawings shall be reviewed and approved by the village engineer prior to issuance of building permits and incorporate the findings of fact into the record, of which there are 10.
Yes.
Member Bransky,
Yes.
Member O'Brien. Yes. Chair Suzega.
Yes.
All right, passes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your patience this evening.
Oh, all right, congratulations. Of course. Beautiful. Thank you for coming out tonight.
All right, next is case number 2621, a special use permit for professional office building at 18219 Dixie. The applicant is Armeo Wallace. Come up here, please. This is for a special use at 18219 Dixie.
Yes.
Legal notice was published in the March 25th edition of Star. I'm sorry, South. And letters. 250 to residents within 250 feet. Have you got any comments?
My name is Carmela Wallace. My business address is 3000 Marcus Avenue, Lake Success, New York, 11042.
And you raise it, swear the testimony you're going to give is going to be the truth,
Yes,
the whole truth, and that's what the truth talking about.
yes,
Okay, and you are the current owner of the room, right?
correct.
And now you would like to take the, what used to be the pizza restaurant,
Yes.
and tell us what you want to do with that.
So I want to take that, and I started a foundation, Live Free 999, in honor of my son, Jared Higgins, who passed away, and Homewood was very special to us. So I started this foundation about mental health to normalize the conversation about mental health and substance dependency. I started in 2021, and it's grown a lot. I have a crisis line, and I'm doing a lot of other things, boots on the ground. So I'm growing, and I want to have a home for us to meet. We sell merchandise, one which I have one, and the proceeds go right back to the foundation. We help a lot of organizations who support mental health and substance dependency. And I do a lot of work with HF. In fact, we do a mental health fair, which we'll have on the 20th. So my goal is to have more boots on the ground and create a space where we could work effectively towards the cause of mental health and normalizing the conversation.
And what do you want to do with this building?
I want to make it beautiful. I want to make it where we have our offices.
Well, the brewery came out very.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want it within that same vein, an extension of that. I'll have a podcast area, an area where we ship our merchandise. Right now, we use a fulfillment person, and we have some issues with that. So we want to take control of our merchandise that's going out online from our online store. We want to have a podcast. I want to have different interviews, with different people in the space of mental health, which will bring, more people to Homewood to and utilize the brewery as well to, to entertain those that I bring in for the podcast. So the goal is just to, be strategic and normalize, how we do our outreach.
Okay, you're gonna paint the building,
Yes.
and you currently have a mural on that, on the building. What are you gonna do with the mural?
We have proposed, another design for them. A different mural in that space.
So. Could provide some quick staff detail on this, just because it'll be a bit of a partnership with staff. So that mural right now, there's kind of a 4th of July Homewood mural that's there right now, kind of for a while. The property owner runs with the property, has a obligation to maintain that mural, and if they want to remove it or alter it, it needs to be by the building board. I think the goal is ultimately to relocate that mural to another location. We've started to engage with other property owners, started to look at alternative location where we could put that mural. The goal would be to then have that recreated in another location.
I would say that mural is a very much, it's part of the series Virtual House murals. And each of the murals is on, that are on private buildings. Village, and so the village is right now working with creative murals to find it.
And is the original artist still around?
Original artist, yes. The original artist didn't paint murals on the building, but the person who did them all and painted them for us is still engaged with us. How about-
And that
They're
person
either-
would be,
It'll be a Richard Nelson.
agreed to having that removed,
Yes.
and there's gonna be some cost to you to have it removed.
Yes.
And this is what you're proposing. What the old pizzeria is gonna look like on the outside.
Yes.
And you provided us with some interior pictures.
This is special use. Just, yeah.
Monitor archery uses in our downtown. That's
And then you're gonna put a, real handicap spot at the back.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
All right. It looks like a nice layout. I think you'll be very comfortable there. And it's nice that we're close proximity to Marie, so that a lot of things you can do together. I like how you're be changing the front of the building. I like the color scheme also. I really don't have any problems with it. It looks like it'd be lovely offices. I hope you do well there and help a lot of people.
Thank you. That's our goal, to help a lot of people.
I guess the one thing that I'm not getting, maybe you can fill this in for me. I understand it's gonna be kind of your new headquarters for the foundation, so it's primarily office. I get your concept in the back of the process, and it makes perfect sense. and then the podcast area, et cetera, but is there any part of this that is, how does it interact with the public, or does it not? This is just gonna be private office.
It's private.
Okay, so there isn't any intent of treating anybody with mental illness or having
No,
discussion about, or a place of for resources for people. This is more your management of your foundation and the things you do outside of
Correct.
this structure to serve the community.
yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I got it right in my head. Yeah, no, I don't have any issues with what you're doing. I don't have an issue with the mural issue. You know, times change, we change, sometimes we gotta update.
Yeah.
So, I don't have any issues with what you're proposing.
All right.
I like the plan. It's what is needed for consolidating the foundation and helping grow. I only have one problem, which stated that the brewery. We got streets and avenues, lanes, courts, thing. And they all have a function. But there's an access on the south side of the property. And I discussed that, and the director is smiling at me. It is a bug to me. In other words, when the brewery went in, there are two accesses. One is Miller Court, which is 2 lane. It's wide enough to support 2 lanes. The access, which is an access, is not any of those that I mentioned. It's just an access, and it is not wide enough to accommodate 2 lanes. In fact, it is less at its narrowest point than what is required for the fire department. It's less than 20 feet. And that 20 feet is where the utilities are protected in front, where the bollards are. Just off the sidewalk.
Which piece of property we
Just off the side. There's a picture that shows,
Between the brewery and the,
Yeah, but then.
Yes.
Where this.
Okay,
78.
okay,
There.
right there,
Okay,
yeah,
there it is.
okay.
78 over on the left side of the lane. On the left side of the access. On the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Along the building here, right?
There you go, right there.
You
Right
got
there.
utility.
Right there.
Yeah.
Along there.
Right there. At that point, it's less than 20 feet wide at grade level. So at the time that brewery went in, I suggested that could be 1 lane. So it's coming out of the parking lot, it could be 1 lane. Now, my suggestion at the time was to have a stop sign there, just the same as you have when you exit
Mhm.
the parking lot on Miller Court. But because this is an access, nothing else, not a lane, not a street, not an avenue, there is no requirement for it. I'm talking about common sense. That particular access is, to me, if you're coming out of it, a blind side. There are other driveways along Dixie Highway where the line of sight is much more open.
Mhm.
But if somebody is coming on a bike south on the sidewalk and a car or truck is coming out of that, there could be a problem.
Sure,
That's my only suggestion.
we do that.
Measure of safety. In today's litigious society, attorneys could have a field day with them. Other than that, I think it's wonderful.
Anybody in the audience have questions? I agree, I really don't have any questions. I think a stop sign in the front would be very helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
That's no problem. Okay.
Are you gonna put some kind of planters? Something else, or is that cool?
Something beautiful. Yeah, make it beautiful.
Oh, one other question, your merchandise, like the shirt that you're wearing, that will not be available for sale at this location.
No, it's all online through our online store.
Oh, okay. All right. Everybody in the table,
Question, clarification.
yes.
Are we adding the stop sign or the consideration of a stop sign to our recommendation?
I would say yes, let's add it to our record.
So that would be subsequent to approval of village engineer or Department of Building.
As well, we don't require it.
Right.
If they do have, but they still want to see it approved by the.
Yeah. So if we add that item in there, will you posthumously wordsmith it to correctly represent what needs to happen there, or
Sure.
we need that wording now?
Can work. If we can.
Okay. Good. I have a good idea, but strive for accuracy, you know. Mr. Chairman, I'll make that motion,
All right,
if you don't mind the twofer. Like to recommend approval of case 26-21, special use permit for professional office at 18219 Dixie Highway to allow the operation of the foundation offices of Live Free 999 Foundation, subject to the following conditions. Number one, revised site plan drawings to indicate the location of one ADA accessible parking space adjacent to the rear entrance of the building as required in the 2018 Illinois Accessibility Code. Number two, the applicant must receive approval for an administrative variance to reduce the on-site parking requirement by one parking space. We're adding in item number three. You recommend that the applicant consider placing a stop sign on the access route to the south of the building to protect pedestrian traffic on the sidewalk, subject to approval by village engineer, and incorporate the findings of fact into the record, of which there are 6.
yeah, I got a motion that we. Right.
Yes.
Francine,
Yes.
Denver, O'Brien. Yes. Here's the David.
Yes. I have a question. In the parking lot, as I recall, it's up about 4 inches. Parking stone. Front row parking stone. So when they put this in for the handicap, they should consider if this is gonna be the parking stall for the handicap. That 4-inch above grade is a problem, should be better. And if there is a, I don't know whether planning to have a handicap spot, but take a look at the parking lot. First row. It's up about, maybe that high.
That would be caught during the inspection process when they are final in their business operation. If that be.
Thank you.
2618 and 2619, the same discussion, basically. Kevin, do that in tandem.
Yeah, then one more case, case number 2618. 2619, discussion. The same plan that you were. Then hold up with the expansion. At 181 feet drive. You have to put this copy of it.
and your question. Okay, I'll be fine by then.
Sir, state your name and then.
Yes, my name is Massimo Fazio. So, try.
And testimony you're going to give to. So basically, what you want to do is expand the
That's correct.
policy.
So basically, we're gonna do an addition, roughly about 1,300 square feet to the north side of the building. Right now. And 1,300 square feet does not cover all that vacant land, so quite a bit of landscape around it to soften it up and also for water management. The addition itself is going to be about 6 upper-stories that were, I'm sorry, 5 of them space for the whole goal of this addition is to match the existing building. We have some AI rendering for it. Okay. The goal is to update it, modernize it, and also to kind of blend the two buildings together and stain things, so that way it doesn't look like an addition. So, as you can see in this rendering here, we are going to soften quite a bit of the building with landscaping, which I did turn in the landscape plan that will be reviewed. And we are following code of what they wired.
That we, rest of the area.
That's correct.
So, yeah.
There's 5. We are going to turn one of them to handicap, and we have some agreements with the neighbor and dance. Yes, we have the very.
How long do you think it's going to take you to start?
Approximately, typically, the size of this addition were around 6 months.
Right. That sounds so bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
There's a sign on the building. Parking by better.
Okay, I didn't see that sign, but.
I don't have any questions outside of, on page 111, the last page, it says an alternative design consideration. I would be against, personally. Because I prefer the architect green color and the line. And this is so stark with white color print. I don't know. It's not warm, it's not a thing. It's not a pickup. The building sort of lends itself to. Those are
I think probably the main feature, just since you're talking about that, that kind of speaks to the Art Deco is the entry there on the corner. So anything that you can do when you renovate to keep that. But I think keep the character of the building no matter what you do with the color.
Yeah, so we are gonna be keeping that front entrance the way it is, and they have that stone around it, we're gonna match it to our side entrance, so we're gonna tie them both together.
I think it was very wise to get the parking agreement with the dance studio, because, you know, parking is, one of the gentlemen that was up from the development team, he said, something to the effect of, if we could only come up with more parking. I was like, well, those are the magic words in this town. So, that's a strong move on your part. And because you are increasing your square footage, you are gonna be hopefully serving more people, at a time than what the building is capable at the current, size. That was a good decision. So with that in place, I don't have any issues with what you're doing, so. Good to see you.
I echo that sentiment. I was very happy to see the agreement here came in prepared, we knew what was gonna be asked of you, and, you know, we do all like that, aren't there? But the, park, you know, will be just fine with a different time with the dance studio. Sure, their dance classes are work after school.
Right.
What time of the day will have most of the clients?
I'm not a doctor, but, it opens, I believe, when it's between 9 AM and. You may have a few late ones, but it's typical.
And you referred to the offices as, what did you call them?
I'm sorry, I call them operatories.
Operatories. Okay, so they're like little operating rooms or what?
For the dental chair, exam rooms. To. So,
I didn't hear it. Anyway, it looks like a good idea, and I hope you're very successful.
I have the first, the next addition to.
Mr. Chairman, I have a follow-up question, if I may. Just in reading the, recommended approval with the utility work that has to come in with the water service and, the permitting, the connection permit, what can you tell us? Can you kind of give us shed a little light on that for us? So what is ahead of you, and are you prepared to meet those expectations?
sure, okay, so are you talking about the Thorn Creek? For the, mention?
I think it's the copper public service line.
Yeah.
Replacement, the replacement for that aggregation.
Right, so we, from our last meeting, we haven't discussed it yet with the village. I know there might be some incentives to get that on the board to get changed out. Yeah, on there.
Don't, yet so as you may know, the village widespread lead service line replacement. We have a schedule, we favor, we're kind of prioritizing to deliver. Homes really low down. But we're schedule, the other property.
To your question, once we have that answer, really, it's up in the air at this point. Very.
So
It will be
I'm
done.
a little confused about the motion then, because we have that as the condition as number one. So if that's still,
So that's just
How-
related to any incentive or reimbursement or anything like that to do the work. The actual line needs to be replaced before they can open.
regardless
Regardless.
of who's
Building
paying
requirement.
and,
Correct.
okay,
The discussion is whether, how they're incorporating it in our schedule for replacing the service line. For all required to replace by 2037. Six, very high.
So that goes into item number 2, provide verification of village engineer of requirement for connection permit. Or letter confirming that no additional connection permitting is required, so that's gonna depend on a survey technically, isn't it?
So
Of
that actually
utilities.
is related to number 2, it's actually related to the Creek permitting, so he, already, or the applicant already reached out to Thorn Creek, sanitary district, and got a letter, or a statement from the, so we can actually ready to make that.
Okay,
We received that late this week, or midweek, so.
Okay.
And that's been sent on.
okay. So 2, we can strike. That's all the clarifications that was.
Okay.
The only other question. One more. It'll be 2618 and 2619.
For special use permit on site.
I'll make that motion. Go for the trifecta.
All right.
Got a lot here, so buckle up. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for recommend approval of case 26-18, special use permit for medical office expansion at 18114 Gottschalk Avenue to allow for the expansion of an existing dental practice at the location, and approve case 26-19, site plan review for medical office expansion at same 18114 Gottschalk Avenue to allow for construction of a 1,347 square foot expansion to the medical office at this location, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, provide utility plans indicating the location and specifications for a new type K copper water service line extending from the village water main at a location no less than 2 feet from the current main connection point to the existing water meter prior to issuance of building permits. Item number 2, we've been so informed during discussion in this meeting can be voided from this recommendation. So moving on to number 3, revised site plan drawings to include bicycle parking for at least 2 bicycles, 1 rack on a paved surface in conformance with the standards of off-street bicycle parking in the village zoning ordinance, section 44-05-02, item N. Item number 4, Director of Economic and Community Development shall provide a waiver of the transparency requirements for the building as permitted in section 44-05-11, item D of the village zoning ordinance. Condition 5, modify lighting fixtures on the existing entry to match LED fixtures proposed on the new section of the building to meet appearance plan standards and ensure consistency with the current lighting requirements of the village zoning ordinance. Finally, item number 6, add an additional shielded security lighting fixture at the northwest corner of the building on the west facade, matching the existing security lighting fixture at the southwest corner of the building on the west facade to ensure sufficient security lighting on this side of the building. And incorporate the findings of fact into the record, of which there are 7.
I will second that.
Roll call, please.
Member Alfonso,
Yes.
member, Bransky,
Yes.
member O'Brien,
Yes.
Mayor Sutega.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Just.
Made it.
Teamwork.
Sorry. Yep.
Okay, fine. Angela, I have a question for either one of you. You let the first applicants speak up before we had a chance to continue the second item. So how do you go about doing that?
Okay, there was a meeting, so it wasn't, additional initial hearing.
There was,
They come back later and they'll have their initial hearing. And it's not scheduled.
yeah, the note said no action required, so I kind of took that to mean the same thing, that
Yeah.
they need to vote on continuing or.
Time with staff. Well, that'll give them time to possibly acquiring some additional parking.
Yeah, this was just to introduce you to the project and. Where they go into.
If I could just make a lessons learned suggestion. The agenda was stacked pretty heavy this evening, and I just feel like the cases didn't get, potentially, maybe didn't get the attention that we usually give. I would have suggested that the development team could have been booted to the next meeting. I would say that I would give private citizens and businesses precedent or priority over that development, which it hasn't even been executed yet. That would have been my take on it, but just a comment, not a complaint, just a comment.
Next,
All right, that's it, I'm done.
And one of the,
There's a lot of that.
and
We tried.
because it was open to the public, we also thought you may have a lot of residents who may talk on it, and so we put it first to try to provide that opportunity.
Yeah, that just pushes the private to sit here and potentially, I mean, there was a high potential for those last two cases to have to continue to a different, and that, in my mind, I would have put them first and made the development team. I would, not come back, but I would have just put them down the schedule. But
Can you Ridge Road on the screen? Page 18.
Our village manager is still.
and again, I wasn't complaining about the load of the caseload. I'm just saying, that's how I would filter it if I was doing it. That's all. We're not afraid of a stacked agenda. We can handle it.
Well, so.
Yeah, member Johnson.
Member Johnson.
Clock.
Cut it off at 9 o'clock.
Wow. The biggest year that's probably.
Oh, that's good. That's a good problem to have.
But you're asking for 18.
Okay, over on the data, over on the right. There it is, right there. You've got 23 handicap parking places.
Yeah, that's mixed up.
That's
It's opposite.
Yeah.
You know,
Backwards.
I clarify things, and I tried to make that point because I know Commissioner Johnson is concerned about that. The delay of the meeting, I did not want them to come back with drawings that have a myriad of miscues on.
Right, and it can say covered and uncovered.
To me, it was less than professional.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it is a conceptual presentation. It is not, we are not doing an engineer plan review here. And nor is it in our scope to do that. So, I think your point's valid and stressing the point to them, pointing out the mistakes and saying, look, guys, when you come back to the village, not only for this meeting, but for what you submit to the village to be reviewed, make sure you've done your due diligence. I mean, yeah, I would have just stressed the point, but this guy got a little, wound up by your comment and we should be careful in. I'm not saying that you said anything that should have caused him to get wound up. I think he took it the wrong way. But
He was just walking up anyway.
with this being a conceptual thing, I don't know if I would have pressed as detailed about those issues as we did, but that's just my feel on it.
Appreciate what you're saying. If I want this something on the property.
Well, I don't know, there was plenty of errors.
On this presentation that they gave us, amateur mistakes. I mean, they're vivid. I mean, take the look, when they're 23 handicap. I mean, is this a nursing home?
And no.
Maybe so.
They've already made changes based on the village board's feedback, just from when they first proposed this to now, so they changed these conceptual plans, dealing with changes inside of a conceptual plan, there could be some. We'll make sure we do staff review to hire them. All of these.
Well, I think the partner making the presentation should be more. But they come back with building drawings. They're gonna have more questions.
No, it's just gonna cause additional submittals and delays if they don't get their act together.
Yeah.
Purely.
I'm waiting with the phone. Did you enjoy the meeting? Did you hear any of it? Did we do a good job? Oh. And who do you want to?
Chronicle.
You're recording. Okay. One question. On the discussion of the first case. That you required to have three alternative. So. Three alternative. Fire.
Is that from the RFP or is that from the previous phase? Perfect.
Separate from village.
Oh.
Well, Hamilton is the preferred developer following the selection of village was required to open a solicitation of alternative proposal, which is a requirement for any potential sale of development village property within intent. The village received 3 revised proposals. Should that revised be an alternative? So you have received 3 alternative proposals.
So we got 6 proposals originally, we narrowed that down to a smaller number, to 2 or 3. Those proposals after Holiday had been selected, we had to open by law a new window for alternative proposals. Those 3 that had been narrowed down, all revised their proposals and submitted them to the village. So then the board on March 10th looked at those revised proposals. So the alternatives that we were getting were actually revisions of ones we had already received from their first advertisement.
So Halliday is fine. They are the ones. Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved.
Amen.
Second it, heard it.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you all.